While Democrats firmly believe, for the most part, that the economy is doing fairly well, people who live in the real world know that the economy is in dire straits. Just take a look at the M1 money stock, and I won't have to waste your time when you realize we've been pumping out cash like crazy. And shortages, inflation, shrinkflation, it's all still getting worse. You may have heard the other day Amazon had a big hiccup. I get all these emails saying we can't deliver your shirts. I didn't want to order from Amazon. Guess what? I can't order from anywhere else. They're all back ordered, backlogged, or just don't exist anymore. That's the way things are rolling. And there's truck driver shortages. So yeah, the economy is really bad. And it's so bad, the media across the board is entertaining this story about minting a $1 trillion coin. One of the stupidest things I've ever heard. It won't solve our problems. We're already mass printing and borrowing money like crazy. The M1 money stock is through the roof. And as I mentioned, all those other economic problems. But yeah, Axios. And they're not the only one. $1 trillion platinum coin could be minted at the last minute. Well, you see, my friends, the U.S. government is Baroque. They have no way to raise more money, so they can just make more money. Minting a $1 trillion coin and then telling everybody, see, we've got the money. It's meaningless. It's clown world. It's all made up. That's how bad things are. It's an illusion that I think the establishment elites know is crumbling before everyone's very eyes, and perhaps on purpose. I mean, they're the ones who shuttered the economy and led us down this path to ruin, but the economy is not recovering. Now, the Democrats also have another plan to raise enough money to try and save the U.S. government, and that is the IRS tax filing or tax reporting requirement. Any bank account with $600 or more would have to report or the IRS would be allowed to see the net income and outgoing cash, I believe, every month. Basically, if you got your side hustle, they're coming for your income tax. The Democrats say it's to tax the rich, but let's be real. Rich people, $600. You may have seen the segment I did yesterday, so you get the point. The economy is in serious trouble. And the Democrats know it, and the Republicans pretend to do something about it, but they're not. Joe Biden is not a leader, and we are facing unprecedented shortages as this all moves forward. Now, a lot of people say to me, Tim, I have no choice but to comply with the edicts and the mandates because I have children. And I respect that. I get it. You're scared. No, I'm not saying that to be mean. You're worried about your kids. How's that complying working out for you? Are things getting better? This is what people don't seem to understand when they tell me I'm wrong when I say don't comply. They're like, well, you don't have kids, so you don't understand what we're going through. No, that may be the case, but I can certainly understand this. You cannot comply your way out of tyranny or, in this instance, an economic collapse. In fact, I would argue the reason you're having a trouble finding work, the reason you are now at the brink where they are mandating a medical treatment is because you have kept complying nonstop. When Antifa went and burned down buildings, we all shrugged and said, oh, harumph, I say. Because you keep complying with the edict. Now, in New York, only 10 violations are issued because, well, they don't really have the means to effectively enforce the mandates. They need you to do it. And we've seen many stories of people just saying, I'm not going to do it, and they don't. Certainly, I'm hearing reports that in Staten Island and in Brooklyn, a lot of businesses are like, dude, we don't care about any of that stuff, and we're not going to follow it. But when you cave, when you say, I will bend the knee, that's when you make things worse. So make no mistakes. Make no mistake, if it ever comes to the point where your kids have no food, it will be because you complied every step of the way, because you know what their end goal is. And by there, I mean like establishment elites. Well, you will own nothing and you will be happy. You've heard that. You know that's the intent. That's what they've been saying. You see that viral video of Melbourne, Australia? All the stores closed. And yet you still say, I will comply to protect my kids. No, I'm sorry. You've mistaken what's happening. You're actually putting your children at risk. You just don't realize it, even though you have all the information in front of you. I want to go through this and talk to you about what's happening with the $1 trillion coin. This is the story that should tell you it will not get better. It is getting worse. It will get worse. And compliance with edict and violation of the U.S. Constitution and law is what's making it worse. And then we can talk about those who've claimed to be heroes of freedom and free thought who've actually just sold out. But we'll get started here. Now, before we do, head over to timcast.com, become a member, and you'll get access to exclusive members-only segments, the Timcast IRL podcast, as well as the upcoming members-only content from Tales from the Inverted World, our paranormal, true crime mysteries, and ghost stories podcast. We got one episode up. You gotta wait till we get these stories rolling out, but they're not all just ghosts or whatever. It's a little bit of everything. It's Tales from the Inverted World, tales of intrigue. And don't forget, you will also be supporting all of our journalists who write these stories for you every day and do these investigations. And you'll get an ad-free experience, as I mentioned. But don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends, because this one, my friends, is a doozy. From Axios, the $1 trillion platinum coin could be minted within hours of the Treasury Secretary's decision to do so. Philip Deal, former director of the United States Mint, tells Axios. Congressional solutions to the debt ceiling problem could take weeks to implement, especially if the reconciliation process is used and time is running out. In case of emergency, a $1 trillion coin could be deployed to bridge any gap between the money running out and the debt ceiling being raised. Don't you just love this? They're basically telling you, they'll just say, we got the money, when they don't have the money, and you'll be like, okay. And then what happens? Either way, inflation is upon us. They call it inflation. There's also something called shrinkflation. Products are getting smaller, and they're getting smaller faster. Soon, you will own nothing, and you will be happy. Okay, let's be real. Some people will be happy. You'll probably be angry. You'll be wondering why it is your kids don't have food anymore. You'll be wondering why it is the box of cereal costs $10, and it's only got two bowls worth of cereal. And you'll say, my kid's not getting food. If maybe I just keep complying with all of the psychotic authoritarian edict, maybe then the food will manifest. It's exactly what happened in the Soviet Union, right? When the Holodomor happened and they said, everyone just comply. And they said, okay, we'll give all of the food away. Well, they took it by force, right? The Soviet Union said, we want to take the food from Ukraine and we'll send it to people we care about more. Where do you think this goes? Now, look, history doesn't repeat, it rhymes. I don't know exactly what we'll see. But I'm really impressed that we're at a point now where there's a labor shortage, there's a trucking shortage, there's a food shortage, prices are going up. They're talking about printing $1 trillion coins and people are like, but I better just keep giving in. What am I saying? Go homestead. And I mean it. Like we're talking about building what we call Freedomistan, which is a joke. It means Freedom City, or it's a play on, Istan, like Afghanistan, or, whatever. Because Stan, my understanding means city, so it's like Freedom City, and then there's just a more unique name. And we've got 15 chickens here at the castle already. We're going to have a bunch of chickens. We're going to grow a bunch of food, and we're going to make a project out of it. We're going to do sustainable living because we want to be responsible for ourselves. I think nonviolent civil disobedience, mass noncompliance, fight for your family in the best way you can, and that is by being self-sufficient. Because this stuff is a snowball rolling down a hill, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And a lot of people seem to think that as soon as regular Americans wake up to what's happening, everything will improve. I'm not so convinced. I think too many people are just, they don't care. How many arguments have I had where people are like, Tim, you don't get it. I'm going to comply no matter what they say. And I'm like, that is why we lose. So my only recourse is y'all got to be responsible for yourselves, your friends, your family, because if you stay on this course, we know where it's going. They're going to say the U.S. Mint, which Deal ran from 1994-2000, already produces a 1-ounce platinum eagle and has no shortage of platinum blanks already in stock. Producing a $1 trillion eagle would require only the denomination to be changed. This could be quickly executed on the existing plaster mold of the platinum eagle, says Deal. Then an automated process would transfer the new design to a plastic resin mold. Even if Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, had no intention of minting such a coin, there is no reason for her not to quietly instruct the mint director to take those steps a day or two in advance. At that point, a coin would be struck in minutes at the West Point Mint, even if it then needed to be physically deposited at the New York Fed. That's only a short helicopter ride away. Voila. We'd have bought ourselves the equivalent of a $1 trillion increase to the debt limit without any impact on inflation, says Deal. Now, I love it. Biden says he can't guarantee the U.S. won't hit the debt ceiling. And then the U.S. stops borrowing. There's a shutdown. People aren't getting paid. Who knows? We might default. I believe we've defaulted before. It's not going to be the apocalypse, but I think we're in some kind of absolute breakdown. Now, here's why I highlight this story. It may be absurd, and you may be laughing, saying, okay, that's never going to happen. All right. My friends, it's well beyond happened. Take a look at this. Look, billions of dollars. Look at the money supply. And you've seen this. I've shown you this before. But look, they opened the door for savings accounts to be checking accounts. And then all of a sudden, we had what? Like a fourfold increase in the money supply. Since then, even after they changed the definition, it's skyrocketed from 16,000 billions of dollars all the way up now to 19,677 in the billions of dollars. So what happens? Do they really need to print $1 trillion coin? They could. And what would happen? You see this line here that jumps from 4,000 up to 16,000. You would see another massive, major spike. And that will result in a lot. Maybe nothing. At the very least, what they're telling you is that the economy is totally fake. Nothing makes sense and nothing matters. I hope you're paying attention, my friends, because something else has been happening today, something that makes me particularly happy. Bitcoin price surges to 5-month high over $54,000. Bullish sentiment returns to largest cryptocurrency, up 25% already this month. Now, I know I can already hear many people saying, Tim, I don't care about crypto. That's fine. You don't have to. I'm not here to give you any financial advice. I'm just going to say, boy, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be very, very happy with my decision to own crypto in the coming years. Max Kaiser predicts crypto will hit over $200,000 at some point, maybe even this year. I think he was saying on target this year. We'll see if he's right. He's got about, just about 2 months, but it's already back to 54,000. Its peak was about 64,000. One of the reasons it's going up is because there are a lot of institutional investors and a lot of people with a lot of money who know exactly what's happening to the U.S. economy. Now, you might not care about Bitcoin, but you probably care about this. From eatthis.com. Walmart is facing these 5 shortages right now. They say beef. Not only is beef more expensive, but it's hard to find at grocery stores. I wonder why. I wonder why you can't buy beef. I don't know. I can only speculate, I guess. Boy, there sure is a big push to get people to stop eating beef, though. Remember that Green New Deal? Remember what Biden was proposing, that people need to have only one cheeseburger? Or it was a proposal like maybe people should only have one cheeseburger per month or something like that. Now beef is really expensive. I go to there's a big sign. Okay, over here in the Harpers Ferry area, for those that know it, there's this little turnpike area. It says an adventure center. It's where people go to kayak, right? There's a big sign. It says barbecue, beef, brisket, chicken. They don't have brisket anymore. It's too expensive. It's too expensive to get brisket. Now, there is a really, not too far from here, is a really amazing barbecue place just off the side of the road. And they got some of the best brisket I've ever had, if not the best. Wow, is it good? Absolutely. But it's getting harder to come by. Beef. Seems obvious. Pork is also harder to come by. Chicken. Juice. Snacks. Now, I don't care for the snacks, but let me just tell you, my friends. They come to me and say, Tim doesn't understand. He has no kids. Walmart has a shortage of beef. What about complying with everything that's happening convinces you this will stop? It's just absolutely stupid. And you know what? I don't care who gets mad that I'm saying it. There are a lot of people who are angry saying, Tim, how dare you say this? I'm going to unsubscribe. Whatever. Look, I'm not here to lie to you or play games or say, oh no, I might lose members and subscribers. I'm going to say some things are true. And the truth is, if we are facing shortages, if they told you 15 days and it's been a year and a half, if they told you just wear your mask, it'll be over sooner, if they told you just get the vaccine and it'll all come to an end, and it hasn't, every step of the way, what on God's green earth makes you think complying is going to get you out of this? So I can tell you this, if you like beef and you like food, get a farm while you still can. Bill Gates is buying up farmland like crazy. I wonder what that's all about. Honestly, I have no idea, but hey, I look to where the billionaires are investing their money because they certainly expect something to happen. Farmland. So what are we doing? Like I said, for Damastan, we're buying 50 acres, about 50 acres, and maybe more. We do have other acreage because the other one is more like, shooting range. But we'll probably do the same thing with the new acreage. And we're going to do a sustainable living thing with, we're going to have our employees. Look, I think when you look at all of the problems of the world, I think the responsible thing to do right now and the safest thing you can do is homesteading. A small, sustainable plot of land where you grow just a bit of your own food. You'll still rely on modern technologies and bigger farms. But you want beef? If you live where I am, we have farms all over the place. Now, it still is harder to come by beef, but we still can go to local farms and find it. In supermarkets, it's getting harder and harder to find. Pork, the same thing. Chicken, the same thing. We're raising our own chickens, and my friends, it's remarkable how easy it is. I made the joke last night. We took 2 chickens and we put them in a box, and then a couple months later, there's a bunch more chickens. The reality is we have 7 chickens, we have 1 rooster, and now we have 15 because they all had babies. And we've got a decent amount of genetic diversity, and we're building Chicken City, which is a bigger space for them. And then once we move to, we're not going to move completely, but we're expanding this other, it's a venue, it's a big, we're going to have a shooting range probably, we're going to have a skate park, we're going to have all that stuff. And it's going to be kind of like a semi-private production center and recreational center and sustainable living and all that stuff. We're going to be responsible more for ourselves, and we already are fairly responsible for ourselves. I can tell you, it's amazing. Taking my own fresh eggs in the morning with the peppers that were grown here on my property with my own cherry tomatoes, and I fry it all up. Incredible. We don't do our own dairy, but we do go not too far and we pick up a lot of this stuff like bacon. It's all ready to go. I'm telling you this, sitting back and watching this happen is the worst thing you can do. From The Guardian, America faces supply chain disruption and shortages. Here's why. Shortages in the U.S. are piling up. COVID isn't the only reason for the problem. They say there's a quiet panic happening in the U.S. economy. Well, not here, okay? Because I've been warning you for months. Those of you who watch every video I put out, which is a decent amount, but not everybody, you'll have seen me talk about this over and over again. The various stories from various jurisdictions about food shortages. They're going to say medical labs are running out of supplies, like pipettes and Petri dishes. Summer camps and restaurants are having trouble getting food. And automobile paint and electronics firms are curtailing production because they can't get semiconductors. One man told me he couldn't get a Whopper meal at Burger King in Florida. And there was a sign saying, sorry, no French fries. We have no potatoes. Are you watching this? Look, I do think most of the people who are watching this understand what I'm saying and agree. But there is an interesting debate that came up over, from the Tim Castaro podcast I had with Jack Murphy about should his child comply with the vaccine mandates. I just think they don't come out, the establishment, the elites, the political class, the billionaires. They don't just come out and say, listen up, everyone. Here's what we want you to do. Give up everything you own. Stop eating meat. It's over and done. And we're sending in law enforcement to do it. No, people would freak out and start smashing things. It'd be insane. It's incremental. We have been told, when I say it's particular wealthy individuals who are very much saying the world is in trouble. We can't eat meat anymore. It's time for fake meat. It's things like that. Concerned about overpopulation. And what do we have now? Well, whether intentionally or not, these are agenda items that have been proposed by the Davos elites and people like Bill Gates, who happens to be buying up all this farmland. Whether it's intentional or not, that I don't know. But I can certainly say how fortuitous of them that everything they wanted is starting to come to fruition. Hard to find food. Trucks aren't being driven. Fuel prices are going up. Joe Biden's a complete disaster. The country is in complete disarray. Shortages across the board. Imagine that. No French fries in America. Certainly your compliance with the economic shutdown has helped, right? I mean, right? You can't go up against, the decree of an illegal decree from a despot, right? Like when Bill de Blasio said we're shutting you down without any due process in violation of your constitutional rights. Complying helped, didn't it? No, it didn't. I know people are scared. I know people don't know what to do. And people say, Tim, it's easy for you to say you have this, that, or otherwise. Can I explain something to you? Do you think I am in this position because by luck? Or is it possible that when I was in New York and watched a black supremacist kill cops, I said, I'm going to leave because I don't want to see what happens next. And then I was out of the city by the time the mass rioting occurred. Or that I said, I'm going to go to the suburbs of the Philly areas. And then when I saw rioting happening and shootouts, I said, I'm going to go to the middle of nowhere. Could it be not that I am in a position where I can be more self-sufficient and sustain myself is specifically because of what I am telling you right now? I'll put it this way. People say Tim's lucky he has money or land. I have those things because I have been preparing for what I see ahead of us. I did not come to magically just have this. I am a high school dropout who has been homeless on numerous occasions. I can tell you the one thing that I'm seemingly able to do is get just enough right when I look at the news to make good decisions. That's it. Just enough. I mean, what if I stayed at Disney? when they were offering me all of this great money. Just play ball, Tim. Just comply with what we want you to do and we'll pay you fat stacks. And I said, I can see the writing on the wall, my friends. I'm leaving. What about starting timcast.com, albeit late, right? We knew censorship was coming. We got banned from TikTok. Now we're being told that Fullscreen. So this is news that came out recently. The Fullscreen multi-channel network, the era is over. They're shutting down. And that means this channel, which is part of that network, is being removed. And that will be removed from the YouTube Partner Program. I will then have to ask YouTube to let me back in to make money off of this content. Fortunately, I started a new channel independent of the network, and I started a website that allows us to continue this work regardless. Why? Because I've been planning ahead. Have I been right on everything? Of course not. That would be ridiculous. I'm not a psychic. I'm just some dude reading the news all day. But people don't want to listen. I think a lot of people do. I think a lot of people say they understand when, there are certain things that are political hyperbole or just, silly. And I do say some things that often can be silly. I don't think I'm perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But I do think that we here, at the castle are expanding and growing thanks to you. One of the reasons that's possible is because we set up a website in advance of the censorship, which is coming, which other people have experienced. And let's be honest, I was late to the party. I set up a website this year. That's it. 9 months ago. It has been just about 9 months we've had the website up. Because I fully suspect that we are going to a much darker place. But because of these moves I've made, we've been able to remain somewhat sustainable. TikTok gets banned. Yeah, our TikTok got banned. You may have seen my segment about it. That means we're going to another dark place. And now we're looking at major shortages across the U.S. Do you remember in the beginning of, I think it was the beginning of last year, I started doing promos for safeandreadymeals.com. I'm bringing this up not to do it as a promo, but I do promos periodically. I haven't in a few months for safeandreadymeals.com. It's emergency food. I was ridiculed by leftists. They made fun of me. Even people I knew were like, this is pathetic and you're so dumb. Why would you advocate people have these things? And I'm just like, who cares? It's not particularly expensive. I mean, it's like $80. And if you have it, you can always just eat it. I'm telling people, buy food. People buy food all the time. Now we're looking at beef shortages. We're looking at meat shortages. We're looking at shortages across the board. Do you think it'll stop here? It could. It might. I don't know. In the end, if this all turns around tomorrow, my worst case scenario is that everything we've done to prepare ourselves for gives us more freedom, more fun, more choice. And what that means is I got a lot of guns. Why? Well, I don't know. It's my right to have them, and it's fun to bring my friends out to the range, and it's sport, right? Also, I feel safer. We live in the middle of nowhere. There's not many cops. No matter what happens, we're going to have a good time and be happy. So it's like, imagine you go to Vegas. Imagine you're at Vegas, you're in the casino, and they say, sir, you can place your bet on 00 on the roulette wheel. The chances of it coming up are 1 in 37, and you could win big. And I think to myself, that's a rough bet. It's probably not going to come up. If it does, you do win big. But if it doesn't, you lose your money. Then all of a sudden he says, how about this? Here's a bet. If you place your chips on this special new tile we set up, you can potentially win double your money or keep your money. Now, what do I mean by that? When I decided to move out the middle of nowhere, somewhat the middle of nowhere. I mean, we're in a touristy area. It's an adventure area. Harper's Ferry is not far from D.C. It's like an hour drive to the airport. What I'm saying is I'm actually placing a bet that I think things are going to get worse. Now, my bet was correct. Right after we left the Philly area, there was more rioting and there was more shooting, and I don't want to be anywhere near there. Plus, the lockdowns were severe in New Jersey because we're on the Jersey side. So my bet paid off. But the worst case scenario, well, let's just say in the event of nothing happening, what do we have? We got dirt bikes. We got chickens. All things that I enjoy and we're happy to have. We've got space to snowboard a little bit in the yard. You got to climb yourself, climb back up. We don't got a tow rope or anything, but we can actually snowboard down the driveway. It's actually pretty big. It's fun. So let's say I'm wrong about everything. The bet I've placed ultimately results in me just carrying on. I don't think I'm wrong, though. And I don't think you think I'm wrong either. That's why you probably watch these videos, although many of you probably do think I'm wrong. But when you can see where things are going, Let me just show you this. We have a workers' strike at Kellogg's factories. You want to talk about a shortage of food? They said snacks, right? Okay, well, now there's going to be cereal. There's not going to be cereal. Look at this. One of these guys is holding up a sign saying, stop sending jobs to Mexico. I agree. Hear, hear. Americans need jobs. We got to produce for ourselves. But hey, wait a minute. The elites, both Democrat and Republican, have been selling out our jobs. Do you think that right now in 2021, with them still doing this, we're headed towards a path of salvation or ruin? So, again, could be wrong, but I'll tell you. If you're at this point where every step of the way the government has been wrong and they've coerced you every step of the way, and you just say, might as well just keep doing what we're told. Yeah, it ends up with you boarding the train car. I don't know what to tell you. For me, I can't guarantee anybody will stand up not refuse to comply. You look at the Blaze and Daily Wire, they're all refusing to comply with Biden's illegal mandates. His edict has no basis in law. He just said a thing. It doesn't work that way. But there are a lot of people who just give in. Let me show you some. We got this from Mike Cernovich. Someone said, on May 28th, Republican hating women called Rand's D.C. Senate office threatening their lives. She was never charged. Yet if you dare express indignation at a school board member about CRT or forced masks, the Biden DOJ and FBI say you're a criminal. Cernovich says, ma'am, this is why libertarianism is a worthwhile hobby and intellectual endeavor, but not workable politically. He goes on to say, when Republicans take power, if they ever do, the sole goal must be revenge. I'm not sure I agree. I understand the sentiment, but I ultimately think that just is escalation. If that is the sentiment among the populists, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think things will get better? I don't. Because either the Republicans do nothing and the Democrats push for everything they did escalates, or the Republicans say we're going to stand up and push back and the Democrats go nuts. And then you get who knows what. I got a few more tweets from Cernovich. He was going to mention that Trump wouldn't go after the rioters, but Garland is going after parents. What makes you think that 4 more years of a weak Trump is going to do anything when you're literally witnessing what a strong administration looks like? Isn't it funny? Biden's a strong administration. I mean, he's nuts, but boy, are they willing to crush anyone. Joe Biden just issued several illegal decrees. Trump wouldn't do it. Cernovich also says, wait until the moderates see how we are being treated. That'll change things. Meanwhile, the suburban moderate vote goes Democrat. So I'm sorry if it seems a little pessimistic, but it's not meant to be. It's meant to be realistic. And sometimes real life isn't pretty. A lot of people want to believe that they can sit back in their lounge chairs, order pizza and wings, and watch the game, and it's all blow over. Yeah, it reminds me of Shaun of the Dead. It reminds me of that meme where death goes door to door, and each door has a different symbol on it. And it's used to exemplify different things. It reminds me of the Antifa riots. People thought that if they ducked in their basement, Antifa would pass by their homes. They didn't. They went around smashing up everything. They smashed up businesses. Now, if you flew their flag and swore allegiance, they'd leave you alone. Perhaps it's a smart move. If you want to just stay safe, you'll cower and live under their feet. But I would rather die on my feet than live on my knees. So I say this. I'll move to West Virginia. We'll set up a big space where we can have farming and chickens and skateboards and skate parks and more work. We will continually produce content that inspires and spreads influence towards the ideals of liberty and fun. In our vlog, we don't wear masks. We don't talk about mandates. We ride bikes, dirt bikes, fun stuff. And we want people to see that and be inspired by it. We don't want to produce content where we're living in cubicles wearing masks. We don't want to be like these creepy weirdos like Trevor Noah, who does his show from, like going from a studio into his bedroom. No. We're going from the bedroom to the studio. We just built a new studio. Now we're expanding because we want people to see what we're doing and say, that's the life we should be living, not under the feet of these tyrants. So the goal is to produce more content and try and be a beacon of light in the darkness. It reminds me of, that movie, what's it called? It's actually really bad, but like all the light is slowly disappearing and then people are getting eaten by silhouettes or whatever. And they're like holding the light up, or maybe Chronicles of Riddick, where it's like that little bit of light. Now, I'm not the only one who's engaging in light, bearing or trying to spread some positivity in the darkness. There are many people who do it, but we're certainly trying to do it. At the same time, however, I firmly recommend that people find a better life away from these cities, because the idea that you will just stay there and things will get better is wrong. And I think most of you know it, and you know it. If there is a strike at Kellogg plants where they make food, when there's already a food shortage and shrinkflation and prices are already going up. Look at this. Shrinkflation, smaller products at higher prices. Have you been noticing this? Man, I can't remember. We went to the store that wow. We went shopping and it was expensive. I think it was like 600 and something bucks to like three-fourths of the way full shopping cart. I was surprised. Meat and proteins, wow, really expensive. So you know what? I'm not a psychic. I just read the news a lot. And it's really simple. Maybe the reason people don't hear what I'm saying, and this one's obvious, is that leftists, they don't watch the news. You know, I've actually had leftists argue with me on Facebook. There's no vaccine mandate. And I'm like, how did you miss that? Well, they don't read the news. If I read a news story and it says that, zebras are loose in Maryland. That's a true story, by the way. Apparently zebras are loose in Maryland. I know that there's a percentage chance that I could encounter zebras on my drive. I do not believe it will likely occur. But if I see a news story that says a warm summer gave way to a stink bug population boom, then I can say, okay, it's time to start planning what we're going to do about sealing up cracks because we got a stink bug problem. And sure enough, yeah, we got a really bad stink bug problem. It's really simple. If we publish a story on timcast.com saying prices are getting higher, products are getting smaller, and there's a shortage of a bunch of different food, we're quite literally telling you what's happening. And then you can make a guess as to what that means. Well, it means that people are going to go to their bosses and say, I need more money. When they go to their boss and say, I need more money, the boss is going to say, I got to charge more money. And it's going to result in potentially hyperinflation. Now, I don't know for sure if hyperinflation will happen, but if inflation is already starting to happen, if they're joking or whatever about printing $1 trillion coin and they're mass printing and borrowing money like crazy, is the economy doing well? No. So now's your chance. I told you several months ago, hey, look at these food shortages. Have you experienced them yet? Maybe some of you hadn't. Maybe many people are like, I haven't noticed anything. Okay. Maybe some of you have. Maybe now you should say, okay, if the food shortages were, and it's not a prediction. Let me just remind you, I just read a news article. And then I said, hey, that's weird. Why isn't anybody reporting on this? And now we're seeing it at a national level. Now we're seeing food shortages, chicken shortages. I went to Starbucks the other day. They said, sorry, like a week ago, we're out of all of these things we can't serve. And I'm like, wow. Actually, I think it was like 2 weeks ago. So when you see the stories telling you what's happening, you can assume that this is the one time right now the escalation stops. And maybe it is. Or maybe it's going to keep happening. The trend over the past several years has been escalation. So I have no data points to suggest things will calm down. So I can say this. I don't think it's all bad. I think bad things are happening, but I think bad things happen all the time. Life isn't this perfect rainbow utopia. You and I have lived in a golden age for too long. It's time to roll up your sleeves, get to work, make the hard choices, and fight to survive. Or don't. Don't listen to me. I'm crazy. Ignore me. Stay in the city, comply with the orders and the edicts, and see how it plays out for you. Because I'll tell you this, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. Whenever I cook food, I always tell people, look, I don't know if it's going to taste good. I like it. Because I can't guarantee I'm a good chef. Probably not. Actually, I think I maybe make some good things. Some good old garlicky potatoes. Can't do those wrong, right? Some red potatoes sliced thin. Delicious. Well, I've been doing keto for the past few months. But when I make something, I'll bake something and I'll be like, look, if you don't like it, it's fine. I made it for myself. That's how I view everything. I can't tell you if I'm going to be correct. I don't know. I'll just tell you this. I seem to be doing very well. And that means that not just predictions in politics, but predictions in tech and social media across the board, I have made right decisions. I'm not saying that I've made every right decision, but let's just say out of 100 decisions I make, 51 happen to be correct. In the end, I end up with a successful business with many people who trust what I have to say. I end up being better prepared for riots and crisis and food shortages. And maybe that's just, I don't know, good luck. Or maybe it's just because literally my job is to read the news all day, every day. It's kind of like insider information. If you're working as a carpenter or an insurance broker or something, maybe you're not reading all the stories I am. But you don't have to trust me because I don't see everything. I'm not omniscient. I can't read every story. I just see more and more of the same happening. So I remember before the toilet paper crisis happened, we were fine. We didn't have to worry about it. Remember when everyone was fighting over toilet paper? We went out and bought some. We went to the store and then filmed down the aisle where there was none left. And we were like, wow, we were way ahead of this. But it makes sense, right? Why wouldn't I be? If I'm investigating this stuff and reporting the news, wouldn't I know before you do? So when I say I'm going to go do X, you're hearing it likely like after I've already done it. If I say I'm going to go to the store and buy some beef, we're probably going to go like right now. And by the time you watch this, you're a few hours after I already did. So when we, like me and my friends are watching all this news and we see these things and we see the mass printing of money and we're like, I'm going to buy cryptocurrency. Let me tell you, my friends, several years ago, I was talking about all of this with a lot of people. I ended up buying when Bitcoin was at like $1,300. And I bought a good amount. A good amount. I'm not going to pretend like I'm ultra wealthy or anything. And now it's at $54,000. But you need to factor in inflation and shrinkflation and all that. The buying power might actually only be the equivalent of 30,000 from where it was when I bought it. But I bought Bitcoin. I bought Ethereum. I also bought Cardano. This is not financial advice. I'm just telling you what I bought. And I'm extremely happy with those choices because it was an excellent hedge and an excellent investment. And you were told over and over again by a lot of people that they thought Bitcoin was going to be massive. And for some reason, the establishment elites kept telling you to avoid it, that it was going to crash, that it was a scam. Unfortunately, poor people fell for it and they sold everything. So I may not be right about everything, but I've been right about enough to be doing all right. Maybe that's just, I don't know, luck, like I said. But I'll tell you this. Each and every one of you who watches, who's a member, you're making this possible. And so long as you are members, I'll continue to make content like this, to research the news, to tell you what I think. And if I'm wrong, I apologize. I can't tell you if I'm going to be right on everything. But I appreciate your support as we hire more journalists, build out free software to challenge the censorship, and continue reporting the news to the best of our abilities. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimcastIRL. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all then.